So here's a quick 4-minute summary of what we were thinking about this weekend in Urban Life. If you missed it, or if you want a quick recap, we've been thinking for a number of weeks now about what it means to follow Jesus really seriously and give your life to that, what discipleship is really all about. And to help us with that, we've been using a series of films by a guy called Simon Gilbo and talking about this theme together. And this week was the last one of those. And as part of it, we were looking at the parables of Jesus in Matthew chapter 13. In particular, the two short parables in verse 44 to 46 of Matthew 13. And they say this: Jesus is speaking and he says, "The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure that a man discovered hidden in a field. In his excitement, he hid it again and sold everything he owned to get enough money to buy the field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant on the lookout for choice pearls. When he discovered a pearl of great value, he sold everything he owned and bought it." And so we've been thinking about those parables, and actually we looked at how the whole chapter is full of parables that Jesus told about the kingdom. There's a whole series of them. So it starts off with the parable of the sower. Where the sower is sowing the seed, it lands in different places, and in some places it grows, in some places it doesn't. And he's talking about the different responses that you will see to the kingdom message. Then there's the parable of the wheat and the weeds, describing how sometimes you've got real genuine faith, but other times you've got a kind of fake faith, which isn't real. And he talks about that issue. There's the parable of the mustard seed, where he describes how this tiny, tiny thing that looks like nothing grows into this huge thing, so that the thing that seems insignificant at times in this world turns out to be the most significant thing of all. Then there's the parable of the yeast, which again is apparently invisible, but turns out to be the thing that affects absolutely everything. So there's all these parables of the kingdom, and leading eventually up to this one that we looked at about the treasure hidden in a field. The guy wants the treasure so much that he's willing to sell everything to get it. And we were thinking about how that is like the kingdom. That's what Jesus is saying, that the kingdom is worth everything. It is worth giving up everything for. In other words, it is worth reprioritizing your entire life around this. That's what the Bible often means by repentance, actually, to change your mind, to reorient your thinking around this Jesus, because he's the one who makes sense of life. When we see who he is and when we see what his kingdom is all about, we recognize that he's the one who forgives, who makes sense of our lives, who recreates, who releases us and reshapes us and energizes us. He gives us the freedom to live our lives as we were truly meant to. And so what happens then is that we see the kingdom as being this wonderful thing that of course we would want to do that. You see, following Jesus isn't supposed to be something that you're coerced into doing, that you think, oh, I have to do this because, somebody's telling me to. Rather, it's like this image of the treasure where you see how wonderful it is, and then you think, I have to do this because I can see how great it is and I want to be part of this. And so that's the challenge, that's the call, to live for Jesus, and that it is worth everything. It is worth our entire life being shaped around him, whatever that may mean, whatever that may lead to. But we will give our lives to him and his cause and follow his commands and his teachings, to love God, to love our neighbour, to serve the world, whatever it costs, whatever it takes. That's what it's all about this week. That's what we're trying to live out. That's what we're praying for one another to be able to do.